So, you want to hear about work now?
Sure.
Okay, so for those who don't know, for whatever reason, I had a hysterectomy back in August. And the reason we had this was because of precancer, cause fuck cancer. And that meant I had to be on 6 weeks of medical leave. While I was gone, my boss stepped down to assistant manager, and that meant we had to get a new boss, a new manager. And so the corporate sent us one. And I remember being told by my boss, let's see, we're going to call her Owl. I'm going to attempt to remember she's Owl. That the new person, the new manager was, I can't remember if this was the exact terminology she used, but probably an equivalent, if not the exact terminology. That the new person was a real bitch.
Wow.
Yeah. And she apologized to all of us that had she known somebody like that would have been selected to be our manager, she would have instead stayed as our manager. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll meet the new person when I come back, because I can't really, stay.
Yeah.
And so I went and I did my thing, and I had my 6 weeks of medical leave. So then I came back, and I had already heard from fellow employees upon a previous visit to work to just let everybody know how I was doing, that they did not like the new boss,
Hmm.
who I guess I'll just refer to as new boss. From the way they talked, she sounded stern, but that, when I became an employee there all those years ago, we had what I called a manager, meaning she's going to do everything a manager is supposed to be doing, at least in theory.
Right.
So if you're talking to another coworker, but you're just kind of lost in the conversation, she's going to get on to you about not working, that kind of thing. Whereas Owl more relaxed,
Right.
and if you got lost in a conversation, she's likely to just let you have your conversation because she knows either you're still working or you'll get back to work immediately as you're done. She's not like the one to immediately barge in and be like, stop talking, get to work. That's a
Mm.
manager. She's more like, okay, they're talking, whatever, I'm gonna go do a thing now. That kind of thing. The difference in there. The boss when I started was, a manager. And a lot of people didn't like her, but I never had a problem with her. The entire time I worked with her, which was from May until about August or September. So, a good couple of months. I never had an issue with her. It's more like I think there were things she could improve upon, but I'm like, I never outright hated her guts or thought she was ill suited for the job.
Uh-huh.
So then, she quit, and Owl became my assistant, and then I had a new manager, which was a gentleman, and they worked really good together, and I liked both of them, and I felt like if something was I needed to talk to them about or mention or whatever, I could, and of course, if there was something I was lacking in, he would be like, hey, Cassie, I need to talk to you a second about this thing, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I didn't realize I wasn't doing right, or I'll try this other thing. He was a good manager because
Hmm.
he is easy to get along with, he could have fun, but at the same time, he could do his job and help you do yours better too, which is what a manager is there for.
Yeah.
And then eventually he left and Owl became the boss. And then we had a run through of a couple of different assistant managers. Um, One was a triceratops. Some people might get that reference. Then she left, and then we had a teenage witch.
This sounds almost surreal.
And some people might know that reference as well. And then once the teenage witch left, we went for a very long time without an assistant until Owl decided to step down as manager to assistant manager. Again, when I came back, the new manager just felt, from what I'd heard, she just seemed like that very first manager I had when I started, a manager. So things seemed to be going okay for maybe like a month. A lot of people didn't like her and would complain, and I just, I would try to explain the whole manager thing to them.
Mm-hmm.
But, that didn't really smooth things over, and clearly stuff started to change when I got back. Some of it I thought was for the better, because we had, I'm going to call this person Stick. She was hired to basically be like another register person.
Mm-hmm.
But once she discovered how to change prices for customers she liked and to steal stuff, that's what she did.
Wow.
Yeah. I happened to be working the day Stick pretty much got herself fired. But I was like, well, good, things will be improved around here a little bit. I didn't really see this as like the upcoming apocalypse of awful. Because again, she was stealing stuff. We'd known she'd been stealing stuff. Now, I can't say why Owl didn't bother to just go ahead and get rid of her, but I know why the teenage witch didn't when she would talk to me, because she mentioned there's several people she'd like to fire if we had more employees. Yeah, it just ended up going with the reason why we still have some of these sucky people, like Stick, is because we simply don't have the manpower to keep up speed if we got rid of them. We'd go from a 8-person team down to 5, and most of them would be part-timers. That's not really doable when you only have one person who's full-time and everybody else is part-time. How do you manage a store that's open for 10 hours with 4 part-timers and 1 full-time? It's a bit difficult to manage, especially with the way they were scheduling everybody, where only 2 to 3 people were working all day, and I'm just like, oh my God.
It's that same sort of toxic philosophy that so many of these companies and stores have now, where they want to just bring the most that they can out of as few workers as possible so that they can make their buck go a little bit further, but they end up burning out all their workers.
We'll get to this. I hadn't told Owl this at the time I went on my medical leave, but I had been thinking about finding a new job anyway, only because I wanted to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
When I joined this team of people in this company, I was told at orientation that we'd be up for a raise every year.
Uh-huh.
And then we'd have our yearly review, and that's when they would decide if we got raises or not, based on our work performance. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a pretty common line of bullshit that they give to
yes,
employees.
as I discovered underneath the first manager, in which I was told the truth was, we only got raises if our store basically sold 85% or more. That was our profit about 8 out of 12 months, something like that. It was ridiculous, especially considering this is the internet age, and stores that you actually go into and spend money at are not a thing of the past, but they're kind of, they're not like it was.
Yeah, it has to change for how it is now. You have plenty of opportunities to get stuff online, so in-person stores have got to adjust for the market. You have to adjust for the market. You cannot just assume that things will continue exactly the way that they used to.
Yeah, especially since this is a resale shop.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm like, well, I'd like more money, but at the same time, it's like I don't really need to look, you know. I like working there. I like my coworkers for the most part, except when they do like stupid things, which happens. People aren't perfect. We're all gonna like get on each other's nerves eventually, and then just kind of be like, yeah, okay, I'm over that. Let's go do a thing now. You know,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people come and go. Some I've liked more than others, but I can generally get along with everybody. And so was sort of kind of looking for a new job. I wasn't really serious. It was more of if I see something that really strikes me, maybe I'll try and pursue that. But for the time being, I'm okay with what I got. Again, I go back to work and things seem to be okay. A stick gets fired. Another lady, the Moon, she ends up getting fired.
Such dramatics.
I know. I'm trying to like give good nicknames for them that I can actually remember based on their own names or some kind of trait about them that stood out to me without actually identifying who they are. But then you have, I guess I'll just call her Mom. Then you have Mom, who out of all my coworkers, I think I like the most. But it just seemed like, and maybe that's because I was working in the back more, but it just seemed like everything in the world pissed her off. And she was very loud about it. Very like she did not hold back. It didn't matter if customers were there or not. And you can't really do that.
Yeah.
But I think she just hit that level of I don't give a fuck. She eventually left. Out of all these people, she was the only one that quit. Everybody else had been fired.
Good grief.
And that includes Owl. Owl had mentioned, well, she hadn't mentioned, but I'd heard through the grapevine that apparently Owl had believed that the new manager and the manager at the other store, who are apparently friends, were trying to get her fired. And then this in turn had come to be told to me that my other coworkers believed that the new manager wanted everybody gone so that she could hire new people to be trained how she wanted them to be trained. I'm like, well, that's just, they don't like her and they're upset about it and all that. And I'm like, you kind of got to take that kind of thinking with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Until then, you realize the new manager is a dick.
Ugh.
I didn't have a problem with her until I did. And this started technically like my first day back. I had just gotten back from medical leave, and sure, I have been approved that I could go back and do everything, no problem. But still, it's my first day back, and I've been there since 11 o'clock. The latest I've last had breakfast was at least 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't give me my lunch until 5 p.m.
Good
That's
God.
2 hours before we close the store.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
This should have been a red flag, but I'm like, you know what? She's not used to me being here. I should have probably mentioned it a lot earlier, but I'm trying to get used to getting back into stuff, and I'm so used to people knowing I go about 3:30 that it doesn't even cross my mind. And, I just kind of let it go. So then it comes to be October, and it occurs to me that, oh, my birthday's coming up soon. I'm going to give like an entire month notice that I want to have my birthday off.
Mm-hmm.
I tell Owl and I tell the new manager. Owl's like, okay, you have to tell the new manager because she's the one who's been running the schedules now. But she's like, she's like, if I get the chance, I will make sure you have that day off. And I'm like, okay, that'd be great if you can do that. And then of course somewhere in there, Owl goes away. She's fired, and so it's just the new manager. I've started to notice that for whatever reason, if you ask her for a break or you talk about time off, she visibly flinches and, gives you that look like, really, you want time off?
Ugh, fuck people like that. That's bullshit.
Yeah, right? And so it's rubbing me the wrong way, but I'm just like, she's your boss, you work here, and you need a job. Put up with it. So I had some other stuff going on, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got a family reunion that I'm going to have that day off so I can go to the family reunion. I'm going to have this one thing on a Sunday. I got to go to that. And the only thing I didn't put on there originally was my birthday, because I'd been telling Owl about it. And I'm like, Owl can remember to make sure I have that day off. And then she, of course, went away. And so I started to tell the new manager every time we would talk about the schedules, is like, oh yeah, I need to have the 3rd of November off. That's my birthday. And again, she'd get that look like, oh my God, really? And I'm like, well, whatever. I insist. I'm going to keep insisting that I have the 3rd off. And so finally, a day comes where she says to me that if I want the 3rd off, I need to write it down and give it to her. But she's getting up to go and do something. I think maybe she's going to go run dock or whatever. I decide that since there's a pen there and there's a sticky note, I'm going to go ahead, grab that, write it down real fast, put it on her desk, and then that way I don't have the chance of forgetting about it and she'll have it.
Uh-huh.
So about 2 weeks before November, I go into her office at about something, I don't remember what it was, and I notice between where she has her monitor of the computer and like the printer, she's got a stack of papers, and on top is my note about wanting my birthday off. And so I'm like, oh, okay, so she's got it right there where she can see it, and then when she makes the schedules, she's got that there so I can have my birthday off. Saturday comes, and I'm sicker than a dog. I go into work anyway because a lot of people have been fired at this point, and I know that there's no way, being the only other person that closes with her, she's going to let me stay home. I feel absolutely terrible. As soon as I wake up, I just want to get back in the bed and turn over and go to sleep. I feel awful. And I'm hot. I'm running, not running like a high fever, but I do have one, and I feel terrible. And this illness, once I finally get home, I spend 4 days out of work. By the time I get back to work, they have the new schedules out. And I get the new schedules, and, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh, I work Halloween. Well, that sucks, but whatever. I'm off on the 1st and the 2nd, but not the 3rd. That's odd. I need to talk to her about this. And so I mention this. And to my surprise, she says, did you leave me a note? I sure did. So you can imagine I'm kind of pissed off at this point.
Yeah. I have every reason to be.
I tell Kelvin later that day, when I find out about this and she refuses to change it, that I'm not mad that I have to work on my birthday. I'm mad that she's lying.
She's fucking lying to you. That's bullshit.
That's a lot of bullshit. Lots of it. And that's pretty much what turns me against her. I'm like, okay, alright, there was a lot of stuff that I didn't like, but I was putting up with it. Yeah, I don't like you anymore. I officially have a reason to not like you along with everyone else.
Yeah, when you're a lying asshole, that kind of
Yep.
nixes any sort of sympathy.
Yeah. And I have to admit, that's the thing I hate most about anybody. That will immediately turn me off on you, is if I find out you're a liar. I think that's the Scorpio in me. And so things go, because it's not like I can quit. I need cash because I have bills, especially medical bills at this point. And she's having me do like a lot of labor, running me around all over the place, or putting me in positions where, now under Owl, I was something like a third key, but I was never officially made third key. Part of this, I think, is me getting used to being kind of in charge, but the other half is I feel like at this point that I'm not being respected for being the kind of capable person that I was previously treated as.
Yeah, you're absolutely not being respected. That's what she's doing. She's totally disrespecting.
I'm not really allowed to like help with the end of the night stuff. I'm not, a lot of stuff that I had been doing under Owl, I'm not doing anymore. It just feels like now I'm just the cheap labor that, does whatever it's told. And again, if this was me like 3 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, that's fine because that was what I was. But now I'm the senior most employee, and I've been given authority because I'm capable of being in an authoritative position. That's kind of what third key is. You're not a manager, but you act as one when the manager is not available.
Right.
So part of it is I've gotten used to that, and I feel like she doesn't care to acknowledge that I'm just another employee that does what it's told, kind of thing. I'm not really sure how to explain this without going into some details I'd rather not, because it would take a bit of time to explain them, on top of the fact that I don't really think I should explain some of the deeper details of how certain things work. But anyway, but I'm not happy about that either. Then, after that, again, we're a resale shop, which means, unlike a pawn shop, we don't pay for stuff. We get donations, and then we resell the good stuff and make a profit off that.
Right.
And being a resale shop, we can usually sell most things, including furniture, for super cheap. However, here's the thing. When I first joined the company, I was taught that we only take good stuff. If it is stained, it smells funny, it's wet, if anything is wrong with it, we do not take it. It goes in the trash.
And you shouldn't take it. That's just asking for a lawsuit or something like that. If it's contaminated in some way, like that would be horrible. You could just be wide open. Somebody to come at you and be like, hey, this gave me X.
Yeah. Apparently, we have been hanging under her direction, anything that's stained or has holes in it. We have been putting furniture out that is stained, specifically 2 recliners that smelled like cat piss and were horribly stained. She had us pull them in and put like I think it was $70 on each of them,
Good grief.
and put them out on the floor. And anybody who went back there, it was like, it smells like cat pee back here. And I'm like, I know why it smells like cat pee. And I told her this when I realized the second chair smelled like cat piss. And you know what she told me? Spray some Febreze.
That doesn't do it. That doesn't actually help anything. It does not fix it. Even if it might cover up the smell for a while.
Yeah. I'm like, basically, you put air freshener, which is basically just perfume, watered down perfume on something that stinks.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have lavender with cat piss. We're not supposed to take baby stuff.
Yeah.
If a baby's butt goes in it, we don't take for recall reasons. Safety issues. Unless it's like clothes. But she's been taking in all kinds of like high chairs and like walkers and things like that. I don't honestly know if she's checking for recalls or not, and at this point I don't care because I'm leaving. But there's this one, and she has $20 on it. But I would never let my child or anyone's child sit in that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it looked like a kid diarrheaed all over it.
Oh my God.
It is nasty.
That's a biohazard. You cannot just resell that. There is something that
She has it in the store at this very moment for $20.
Frankly, I think you should report her to the...
I intend to.
Because that's a bunch of horse shit. You could get in serious legal trouble for that.
Yes.
And it's definitely not worth the $20 you're going to make on that piece of shit furniture.
Literal piece of shit, because clearly that poor child had a serious accident all over that thing. I mean, I hope it was just really bad diarrhea and nothing too serious. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not really cool with that because that doesn't seem okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems less than okay. It's very much not okay. One of the things else that she does is she doesn't want to give people refunds. So here's the thing. Our policy is we only give refunds on electronic items, and you have 3 days to return them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, until this manager, I have never had anyone take issue with giving somebody a refund. No manager, no employee giving a customer a refund for an electronic item as long as it's within the days they purchased it, the 3 days. A Mexican family came in and they bought a bunch of kids' shirts. Normally I'm pretty good at spotting this stuff, but one of the shirts I sold ended up having a stain on them. And they didn't realize it until after they had left the store and they were gone maybe like 5 minutes and they came back in. And he showed it to me that it had been stained. I was like, oh, well, okay, let me go get the manager so we can either exchange or give you your money back for that shirt.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're not supposed to do exchanges at all, but I mean, he's already bought it and it's stained. It's not really unreasonable to be like, well, do you want to be compensated in picking up another shirt or you just want your money back?
Because especially considering the fact that you really are not supposed to sell something that is a potential biohazard or maybe contaminated in some way.
Yeah.
Like, you can get in serious trouble at the state and even federal level depending on the laws in your area. It's just not a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when I notice this, I show the customer, and sometimes they still want it, and I'm like, well, I'll just, like, sell it to you for, like, a quarter or something. Because, I mean, technically I'm not supposed to sell it. I'm just supposed to put it in a baler pile. But if they really want it still, because sometimes they just want it for, like, fabric reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, sure, if you still want it, I don't care. So I got new manager to come down, and I explained to her what had happened. She asked him, like, well, you want to take it home first and see if it'll come out? Or do you just want to exchange it? And ultimately, he just wanted his $3 back.
Mm-hmm.
I stood there and watched this woman try to convince him to just take the shirt home. And I'm standing there like, why not just give him his refund? I'm just standing there like, just give the man a refund or let
It's
him
$3
pick out another
fucking
shirt. Yeah, it's $3. Like, it's not going to be that big of a deal to just refund. And then finally she opens the register the wrong way and just gives him $3. And apparently she just put her own $3 in there. And I'm standing there thinking, what the hell are you doing? Why did you do that? And she's just like, I didn't really want to refund. It's just $3. Refund $3? Why would I do? And I'm like, because it's a refund of $3 for a shirt we shouldn't have had on the floor.
Uh-huh.
What the hell is wrong with you? I have this gentleman. The first time he came into the store, we kind of talked a little bit because I thought maybe we were related. But it turns out he just has a similar last name to my cousin. You know, it's the same last name, but no relation at all.
Right.
And so he's like a semi-regular. He comes in the store maybe like once a week or a couple of times a month, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He had bought a karaoke machine and a bunch of other stuff because we have loyalty cards that we stamp, you know, for ever so much money you spend. You know, over time, he had filled up this card. And he had actually had 2 of them. And so I'm like, yeah, I could take both of them, combine them together, and then you can get, I think it was like $20 off of his entire purchase. So it was probably like altogether $40. And then he had the $20 discount, so then it was like 20 something. I don't remember the exact numbers. At this point. I'm just making it up right now. But anyway, he had like $20 off his purchase. And so I gave him a new card, you know, I'm stamping the new card, everything's going great, and he takes the karaoke machine, and I tell him, I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, it's an electronic item, so you have 3 days to bring it back if it don't work. And he's like, okay, that's cool, I'll be back if it doesn't work, but I'm hoping for the best. And so he leaves. And things seem to be going well until I think 2 days go by and he comes back with a karaoke machine. And I'm on the register again when he comes up and I'm like, oh, it didn't work? And he's like, well, the thing was the mic doesn't work. And he's like, I don't have another one, so I can't, the machine could be fine, it could just be the mic doesn't work. But I can't find out because I don't have an extra mic. And he's like, unless you have an extra mic. And I'm like, no, I don't think we had one. So, obviously he got his receipt. He wants a refund. So I go and I get the new manager. This is a simple thing to do. He spent with the discount, the karaoke machine was on sale on top of the discount. So he ended up spending like, let's say $14 on this karaoke machine. Cause it came with, like some, CDs and stuff too.
Right.
She starts, you know how like somebody thinks they're smarter than you, so they have that little chuckle?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. From the way she was telling him was that he wouldn't actually get his $14 back.
What?
Because he had used his reward card to get $20 off. And I'm standing right there, and I'm just staring at her like, what are you talking about? He clearly, I'm like, it didn't work. He gets a refund, and she's like, no, he doesn't actually because basically you would divide the total like by each item, and then that $20 by each item, like take that off of each item. And so that was actually a little less than, I mean, does this make sense to you? Because it didn't mean.
Yeah, it's ridiculous because like he still spent money on it.
Right.
They still owe him the money that he spent because it doesn't fucking work for him and he can't make it work.
Right.
He is more than within his rights to demand. a
Right.
refund.
Yes.
Because these were the companies and thus her circumstances set for him to return something.
Right. But didn't you know, Hushcho, that apparently using a discount that encourages you to spend money at this particular store means that you actually, if you have to have a return, you get less money than you paid? Because I sure didn't know
Horse
that.
shit.
And this is what she was trying to say. And so, because the guy was getting pissed off, understandably so,
Yeah.
she finally just gave him that money. Just did the refund and gave him that money. I'm surprised he still comes back and spends money to get his card stamped, but he does. But I'm after this whole thing is I'm sitting there like, I don't understand why you couldn't have just done that in the first place. And she's showing me his receipt. And, in a way, I understand what she's trying to do and say. But at the same time, as I point out, I'm like, you could make that argument, but you could also say that $20 only paid for $20 worth of these items, and it has nothing to do with the karaoke machine.
Seriously, she can justify it as much as she wants to, but she's still fucking wrong.
Right,
You know? Like it doesn't even matter. Like you can justify it however you want to. It doesn't make you less fucking wrong.
right. So basically what she was trying to do is only give him a percentage back that didn't make any sense when I was just as right in explaining to her that even if you was trying to apply that kind of logic, you could just say that it only applied to $20 worth of items, not necessarily to only the karaoke machine. And that's pretty much when I decided, you know what? Fuck this person and fuck this place. I'm gonna look for a new job.
Yeah.
And so I started looking for a new job, and, I became more serious about it, but I understood my chances of finding a new job, especially, since December now, are kind of slim. And so I'm looking, but I'm not really, I'm trying, but I'm not trying, you know what I mean? Like, you're determined to eventually have a change, but you don't know when that change should be.
Yeah.
So then we have 2 Mondays ago. This is Christmas Eve, by the way, and we have about 2 Mondays ago. We've already mentioned, I think, that she's had a problem with people wanting time off and taking breaks.
Yeah.
So things are going normally for end of the night proceedings until I walk into the break room so I can get my stuff, take it to the front, and then continue cleaning the store. And she's telling my coworker to basically forge her time card.
Uh.
Yes. And so then I ask her, because I'm kind of confused as to why we would need to do this, what do we do if we are like 5 minutes late? Because if I was supposed to be there at 9 and got there at 9:05, I would put 9:05 because I was 5 minutes late. And she's like, don't do that. Just put the time you were supposed to be here and make up that time somewhere else. Like come in 5 minutes early or something.
Yeah, it really sounds like this woman is trying to make it look like she's flawless and perfect as a manager.
Right.
This is very much a don't make me look bad, even though it's not even really about her, and it's her asking people to do things that they shouldn't really be expected to do.
Mm-hmm. So apparently she mentions that the time cards are being audited. And I'm thinking like, so? As long as my time on my card is truthful and I work as many hours as I say I do, who gives a shit? I don't get overtime anyway, so as long as my card says 40 hours a week, again, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm gonna be a little late, sometimes I'm gonna be a little early. It doesn't fucking matter. Sometimes I get called in, whatever. And I'm just like, well, okay, I'm thinking to myself that's really stupid and suspicious, but okay, I guess. And then she does that laughing thing to herself again because she's better than you.
Ugh.
And she says, I don't know why you guys get breaks anyway. All you do is go to the bathroom because you don't want to work.
Excuse you, bitch?
I almost told her I quit right there to her face because I could not believe what she just said to me.
That is not acceptable.
It is
That is
absolutely not.
that is not okay. And you know what? She has to give you breaks.
It's law.
That is the law. And
Especially
yeah,
since,
a lot of
especially since three of us, not counting Owl, since Owl doesn't work there anymore, have not dietary issues, but digestive issues.
yeah.
I have two coworkers that have IBS or IBS-like symptoms. And since I've lost my gallbladder last year, my digestive tract has never been the same. It's like anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour after I eat, I feel like I'm going to diarrhea in my pants if I don't immediately run to the bathroom.
Mhm.
And sometimes, even when I'm in the bathroom, like the amount of time you would expect it to a normal person to take to poo, by the time we reach that point where that person should be done, I'm just then pooing.
Mhm.
Like losing my gallbladder has messed up my ability to poop.
Mhm.
So, I'm sorry, but sometimes I have to go to the bathroom and sometimes I'm going to be in there for a while. And then the people with IBS, I mean, Owl had it, and there were several times where I needed her, but she was stuck in the bathroom, either getting sick or her stomach bothering her, and she's on the toilet because she's got legit medical issues that
Yeah,
cause
it's
her to have to be in the bathroom a lot.
and I know a lot of these companies, if they want to do the bare minimum that they have to do, and it's annoying as shit because they will not give you anything unless they're required to. But this is required by law. They
Yeah.
have to
Well, at this
be
point,
accommodating to your health needs. They
yeah.
cannot just ask you to be like, no, you just can't go to the bathroom. No, fuck you. If you want me to not go to the bathroom, I will shit on your floor, and we'll see how you like that, bitch.
That was
I
pretty much
I
my
think
exact thoughts because as soon as we
seriously.
walked back into the front of the store, I was ranting at the top of my lungs to my coworker, and my coworker is trying to. She's like, "I don't think that's how she meant it. I don't think that's what she said." I'm like, "I don't give a flying shit." She just insulted the fact that I went this entire day without taking anything but my lunch break. Because I understand that it's just the three of us here, and so I was willing to go without taking my 2 15s. She can go fuck herself.
Yeah, she can, because that's bullshit. You should not have to accommodate some asshole that isn't even willing to do anything for you and has such a condescending fucking attitude. Bullshit. All you want to do is go to the bathroom and not do work. Yeah, because it's so great to be out of your home and away from the bathroom you know that can accommodate you. Yeah, it's wonderful to go out of the house when you can't even count on your goddamn digestion. What a bunch of horse shit.
Exactly. Thus, I did not quit that Monday. Instead, I called up my new assistant manager. Um, I don't know what name to give her. Nice person. By the time I got home, I had went from being angry to upset to the point that my emotions were kind of all over the place. So I was starting to like cry because I was so upset and frustrated with all this
Yeah.
horse crap going on. I told her about what was going on, and I'm like, look, I almost told new manager that I quit to her face after she had the audacity to say this to me, who I'm like, I have done so much shit that I didn't even have to go out of my way to do my best to be useful and helpful to the people I work with and the people I work for. And then she just insults me to my face, to my
Yeah,
other coworker who's in the same room with me, who chooses to be like, she didn't mean it like that. And I'm like, I don't care how you choose to interpret, because she just insulted all of us who are still here.
and that's absolutely not acceptable.
No. And
Frankly, anybody that says something like that should, if not just be removed from a position of authority, be fired. Like, if they just, that's just not acceptable. Just
no.
absolutely not acceptable. I cannot with that, to use the common parlance. That is not only ridiculous, insulting, intolerable, and utterly unacceptable, it really does cross a certain line,
Hmm.
and it should not be allowed in any case. It's just, ugh, just what a load of old turds.
Yeah. So I'm texting nice person. I'd rather be talking to her, but I know she's at home with her grandkids, but she's my assistant, and I'm like, I need to talk to somebody about this stupid person, because this is stupid, and if this continues to go on, I'm just gonna outright quit, because fuck this person. And I
Yeah.
and I told her that, and I'm like, look, I know you really need people, and I know I'm really pissed off. I'm going against against what I feel like doing right now. 'Cause she asked me, she's like, well, are you coming to work in the morning, or are you outright just not going to, come in anymore and just quit? And I'm like, I'm going to be there, because I have yet to tell her I quit to her face. I almost did, but I have not yet. So I feel an obligation to go ahead and come in that morning. But I'm like, I can't guarantee that by the end of that shift that I'm going to still be your employee. But I want you to know, because I'd already talked to Nice Person about this. Maybe a week, maybe a few days before this incident, I had mentioned to Nice Person that I was thinking about quitting, and she's like, is it because of new manager? And my first response was no, and then I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, well, yeah, now that I think about it, like, pretty much all my reasons but one is because of new person. New manager. And of course, Nice Person, since we were on the subject, she's like, well, if you don't mind telling me, how do you feel about me? And I'm like, I like you. That's why I'm talking to you right now about this whole thing. It's like, if you were my manager, I wouldn't feel like I have to quit before I say something that I'm going to regret later, and maybe punch a couple of things. But at this point in time, I don't like new manager. I like you, and I like my coworkers, but I don't like her, and I don't want to work with somebody who, and I told her about, all the stuff I've already talked about, with the exception of the bathroom thing, because that hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't want to work for somebody who isn't honest, and who can't talk to me like I'm an adult and treat me like I'm an adult. I don't know. It's the whole I'm better than you, so, that's your problem then if you don't like it. And I'm like, no, that's not how shit works. Last week I got good news on Monday, ironically a week after this bullshit happened.
Mhm.
In the same plaza, I got a cashier job part-time. They hired me, and I was like, yay! And my intention was, despite how much I really didn't want to be there, I was going to put my 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
But the new job didn't really give me a starting date. They're just like, it'll be after Christmas. And it's one of those things like, well, does that mean like right after Christmas, like on Wednesday? Does that mean next year in January? I even asked her, I'm like, should I put in my 2-week notice? Should I quit? She's like, no, 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 no. But she didn't tell me a definite date. So anyway, the very next day when I had the chance, I told new manager that I would be quitting. And she's got that attitude about it. Like, well, I knew it was coming, and I'm like, well, you should have, because I told you to, like a month ago that I was intending to quit once I found a new job anyway. Because of and then she brought up the bathroom thing. And she's like, I never said that. And I'm just like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I'm not going to be working here anymore and I don't care. And so I just let her talk and be like, well, as soon as I know my start date, I will let you know when I'm quitting. And I left it at that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where we are now. I'm debating on when I leave the store Saturday, assuming I work Saturday and she doesn't have me scheduled as my last day for Friday. I'm going to be playing maybe Fuck This Shit, I'm Out.
Yeah.
As I walk out the door from her office and through the store. There's also, you could take this job and shove it. Maybe. I might be playing that. I've also thought, and I wish I had thought of this beforehand, but it did not occur to me until another customer who got mad at new manager just the other day gave me a Christmas card. And it occurred to me, like, I should have, because I've been telling my regulars that I'd be switching stores already, so that they won't have to ask, they'll just already know where to find me if they want to come and see me or shop wherever it is I'm working at. And I'm like, I should have, being Christmas, I should have bought Christmas cards for all my regulars and the coworkers I like, which is basically the coworkers that are left. And I should have, put in there like, hey, I'm going to this store and blah blah blah. And then I was doodling on this bit of paper, and I was thinking, like, I could put like a little doodle of me like leaving, and underneath have it say, sorry bitches, I'm out of here. I also thought of maybe writing on it, fuck this shit, I'm out. Or, I don't know if I have any near me, but I think they have like those, cards where you can record like a saying or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like I could buy some of those for, my fellow employees as well as new manager. And, just have it, me, singing, fuck this shit, I'm out, or, something the equivalent. But I'm like, I really wouldn't want to waste money on getting her something, because I don't like her.
I think it's absolutely atrocious. I definitely think that you should at least try to go to the company and say, hey, look, this is what this person is doing.
Oh, trust me, I will. I've taken pictures of some of the like, for example, the couches that were nasty and smelled like cat piss.
Mm-hmm.
I took a picture of the statue that I had originally thrown in the trash that she made me get out of the trash and price and put on the floor that was broken. And that's the whole reason I threw it away, is because we're not supposed to sell broken things. She had priced the stand that the statue sat on at $4.99. She had priced the statue itself. Both of these items were broken, by the way. The statue itself at $6.99. So yeah.
Yeah, just really, this company should know, and they really should get rid of her, because that is what she has done is absolutely atrocious. And considering the fact that she has, if not indirectly, then directly gotten rid of some of the best people that they've ever had because she's a fucking idiot and
Mhm.
terrible at her job. And
Mhm.
she's not only, like, even if they don't care about their workers, which most companies, let's be honest, don't, she is alienating customers, regular customers that actually spend money. Like I can take it if it's somebody that just hangs out and doesn't spend anything and doesn't really contribute usefully to the business. But this woman has actively alienated customers and refused to work with them on stuff that is, frankly, against company policy, and not only that, but completely inappropriate. Like, she has been just pulling the shit out of her ass. She should have been disciplined long before now, if not completely just removed. It's just ridiculous that has even been tolerated. It's ridiculous. Bitches be tripping.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Even her texts when I'm asking her a question or something, especially since now that I'm quitting, I have been so passive aggressive. Like,
Hmm.
I was out Saturday. I'm sorry if you hear that. I just realized there was dust on my mic.
It's okay.
Um, I was out with my brother, and I finally had my definite start date for the new job. And so I was telling her that I was willing, if she wanted me to, I was perfectly fine with it, to go ahead and work the rest of this week, and then I just quit at the end of Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'd want to put the 2 weeks in, but I mean, it just, the way it happened, I'm not going to be able to do that. And, she texted me back. I think my phone's on the other side of the room. She texted me back, yeah, if you want to. And I'm like, what kind of definite like on Sunday, I didn't even know if I worked or not until 11:30 when I was supposed to be there at noon. I texted her at 11:30 because I hadn't received a schedule or anything. And I'm like, "Do I work today?" And she's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Well, I'm going to be late then, but I'll be there."
Uh-huh.
And so then I was supposed to work today, even which it was just 4 hours. But she's been so wishy-washy on that. She's like, well, if your other coworker, the other cashier who's been sick, if she comes in, then you don't have to. But if she doesn't, you're my only other cashier. Why she can't get the other cashier to do it outside of the sick cashier, I don't know.
Yeah, seriously, you need an answer. You don't need some asshole calling themselves a manager who cannot give you a decent answer about whether you fucking work or not.
Yeah,
It's not like you don't have a life outside of work. It annoys the shit out of me when people have this sort of attitude like, oh, well, you should just turn your schedule around because God forbid you have anything else to do but work.
yeah. And, so I'm just kind of like, about that. I'd rather not. She was being super wishy-washy, and I'm like, well, does anybody know if other cashier is, feeling better that that she's gonna come and work tomorrow? The new manager was like, I texted her, but she hasn't replied back to any of my texts. And, of course, I have her number, so I'm like, well, I'll text her. And then, of course, I'm also thinking, like, well, it's not really my job to text her and find this shit out, but whatever. I need to know if I'm working or not. And thankfully, other cashier did text me back, and she said, yeah, that she was working. So I'm like, well, good. I don't have to come in tomorrow. And then, of course, new manager is like, but, if you want to come in, you can. She's like, we're not going to be very busy. And basically, she flat out says she's going to use me as labor because she wants to rearrange some stuff.
What an asshole.
I just told her, I'm like, I'll think on it. And I'll let you know if I will or not. As I walk down the plaza with my other coworker, because she's going to give me a ride home, she's like, you're not actually going to come. I'm like, no, I'm not going to come in. Uh, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, that's 4 extra hours that I don't have to work later in the week. But at
Yeah.
the same time, that's 4 hours that I could just not come in and work.
Whereas you could be doing something useful with your life instead of being labor for this asshole.
Yeah, because I actually had shit to do. Because Kelvin and I, on Saturday, went and watched Aquaman, and we recorded a review for that. And I need to edit the audio and try to get it put up. And that's what I was intending to do today, but I just kind of was very lazy. Because I don't know why, maybe it's because of all the intense physical labor she's been having me doing, but I'm like really like stiff and achy.
Yeah,
And so I
that'll do
figured,
it.
yeah. And so I figured maybe today I should just kind of lounge about. Because I'm like, it's Christmas Eve and I'll be in a car a lot tomorrow, running to my cousins and then to my brothers, so hopefully not to be cussed at by a drunk.
Hopefully. Ideally, you know.
But yeah, that's the work situation, and hopefully things are better in the future now that I have a different job.
Oh, I hope so too. What's the new job?
The new job is kind of the same thing, but this is an actual store. You know,
Uh-huh.
I'll be working there as their cashier, and the manager has already told me, like, when I went to my interview with her,
Uh-huh.
that basically she's hiring me because she is anticipating one of her third keys leaving, and she's like, "You're going to be my new third key," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm cool with that."
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and she's like, "We start you at $9 an hour, but once you move up to third key, you'll get paid even more than that." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm cool with that."
That's great. I'm really glad to hear it. That sounds like a much, much better situation.
Yeah, and I already like the people I've met so far that work there. Like, I haven't even started yet, and one person was taking out pillows to put out. She just went ahead and started having a conversation with me, like, right before I left. And I was like, I hope it continues to be like this. It's just a nice atmosphere.
That's good. That's really good.
So, I mean, I've been aware that it's been time to move on for a while now. It's just, I guess I needed an asshole to motivate me to actually get out of there. Because it's just,
Yeah.
because, it's
Or-
just been like, well, I already have a job and I'm already, making enough money to not just pay my bills, but to buy stuff I want and to pay for stuff I need. So I really haven't had, like, I've had the knowledge that it's time to go, but I haven't really had the motivation to get out of there. I've just been kind of piddling around.
I'm just kind of overwhelmed about all this. It's just kind of like, oh my God.
Yeah, so this is the bullshit I've been putting up with for the last few months since I went back to work.
It's crazy. It's crazy and it's intolerable. It's truly ridiculous. And I'm very sorry you've had to put up with it. Just what an awful,
Yeah, it's
but
been pretty bad, but I'm hoping with the new year and the new job and everything will be, good and new.
I hope so too. You deserve a good time. You deserve a good position, a good environment to work in, not some toxic asshole deciding that she dictates company policy unilaterally, because that's how businesses work.
Yeah, because I just go to the bathroom because I don't want to work. I just want to fuck off.
Yeah, because it feels really great to have problems shitting. I'm sure that's just a delight.
Oh, it's the best. Didn't you know that's how people don't work? They just go in the bathroom and are very constipated and they can't poop. Because, that's what I like doing every day. I like going to work and not working. Just sit in the bathroom and can't poop.
Because that's satisfying. That
Hmm.
makes you feel good. Well,
So I have had one hell of an end of the year so far.
yeah, it sounds like it.
It's
This year
been
has
really
frankly been
shitty.
fucked up.
It's
It's
been
been
really
fucked
shitty.
up. It really has, yeah.
I'll be glad that this year is over with. I hope 2019 is much better.